pay some respect to Dadu Nelson Mandela. Mark, thank you very much for joining us this morning. In history, this day will be remembered for the longest time, especially what one was doing when they heard the news. Tell us briefly about what you heard, how you heard it, and what you did afterwards.
Well, I'd gone to bed last night, and at about 11 o'clock, one of the leaders of the treatment action campaign from the Siki in the Eastern Cape phoned me. And I wondered, why is somebody phoning me at 11 o'clock at night? And I missed the call, but I got up and I switched on the radio, and then as soon as I switched on the radio, I heard the early announcements that had been made by the president and that was being discussed on the radio that Madiba had died. And, it was a terrible shock. I didn't really know what to do. I got up, had a cup of tea, sat for a few hours listening to the radio, just trying to understand and absorb the news. We all knew that Madiba was ill, and we all knew that death is inevitable. But I think when it comes to a country like us and to a people like us, it's still a great shock, because this was a man who was unique in the history of the world, not just unique in our country. He was a man of selflessness, a man of great moral standing, a beautiful human being, and the country has lost something. The world has changed today when we don't have Nelson Mandela in our lives anymore, in our air. I mean, I live in this area just not far away from here, and we're not breathing the same air. So it's a loss. But as you said, there's many causes to celebrate as well. And I wanted to be here because I think today I just want to be with people. I want to see how people react, the different ways, how they feel, because Nelson Mandela was a person of people, and today needs to be a day where 50 million people in different ways and similar ways will show how they feel and how they felt towards Tata Mandela.
Mark, I can see that you're getting quite emotional. It's a very emotional moment for absolutely many of us. But you were telling me earlier that you had met him a number of times. If you were to tell us your fondest memory of Tata Mandela.
Well, I have two memories. One memory was a meeting that I had with Nelson Mandela, with Zaki Ahmed. Just to be in his presence. We just met him to talk about the work of the treatment action campaign, our efforts to get antiretrovirals for people with AIDS. Our meeting, but again, to be in that presence, I wished for many hours, but I knew that I'm privileged to have had half an hour and to have shaken hands. And then the other personal memory where I wasn't actually present was the day that Nelson Mandela came to visit the head office of the treatment action campaign, which was at the height of our fight against government over providing antiretroviral treatment. And he went to meet with Zaki Ahmed, and he put on this T-shirt that says HIV positive. And by Nelson Mandela putting on that T-shirt, he was sending a message to the whole of the country that HIV is not something to be ashamed of, that people should not stigmatize people with HIV, that even the great Nelson Mandela was associating himself with the struggle of people with HIV and the identity of people with HIV. And that was a turning point for our campaign for people with HIV in this country. And it's something, that we owe him an unpayable debt for, because he made a great contribution to that. He contributed to our freedom, to our dignity, to our liberation. But his contribution didn't end when he stopped being the president of South Africa. It continued with issues like HIV.
And just one last thing, if you can summarize it for us, that you were saying for a human rights organization like yours, Section 27, today is particularly poignant. If you can summarize what you're going to do as well with the staffers.
Well, it is a poignant day, and I wonder what to do today at Section 27, because I believe that we work for the spirit of Nelson Mandela every day, because we work on human rights. But I feel today I have to say to my staff, do what you need to do today. Use today to reflect. If you want to work today, work. But today is a day, as you started by saying, that we will all remember, and you have to do something to remember it.
Thank you so much. Mark Heywood of Section 27 joining us from outside the Houghton house of Dadu Nelson Mandela.